like that was, you talk about like character, there's a little instability inherently in it that like they're like recorded and you're getting your contract extended and like elevation loss.
Good work, man.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I know.
Not really. What's really hard about
So you're like doing 12 minutes. Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm moving with my wife, so it's like a really fun we ran this one.
Yes, exactly.
All right, everyone good to go? Yeah. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. This is Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office.
Okay, Sierra, come down over here. Sorry, come down here. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming down here today. My name is Gill. I'm the Salt Lake County District Attorney, and I have a couple of colleagues, Sierra Chow from the Friends of the Children Justice Center, Sergeant Robinson from the Salt Lake City Police Department. And we are here today because April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and to draw attention to that. And child abuse can be physical, sexual, or emotional, and this is a problem that pervades all of our society, not just our community. From the richest to the poorest, and to the least educated to the most educated. In fact, according to World Health Organization, 6 in 10 children worldwide, or almost 400 million children under the age of 5 years of age, regularly suffer physical punishment and or psychological violence at the hands of parents and caregivers. This is an exponential growth because one of the things that we've learned through research is often a child who is abused is more likely to abuse others as an adult. And that is what we talk about when we talk about intergenerational trauma that is passed from one generation to another. So today, let me just go through the run of show. I have up here with me Sergeant Jordan Robinson with the Salt Lake City Police Department. Sergeant Robinson works on special victim cold cases, but also works on child abuse cases. The sergeant is going to talk about the need to report and what to expect once the child abuse has been reported to the police, and what process looks like and what kind of support you can expect. I will follow Sergeant Robinson to talk about what our office is doing and the community partnership and some of the policy work we've been involved in. And then I will be followed by Sierra Chow. She is the executive director of the Friends of the Children Justice Center. That is a nonprofit organization that works hand in hand with the Salt Lake County Children Justice Center to help us provide critical support as the center works with the families and children who have experienced abuse and as victims and witnesses to crime. She's going to talk about how people, as you report, how the community can get involved and help us fight against child abuse. So with that, let me turn the time over to Sergeant Robinson.
Good morning. On behalf of Chief Red, it's an honor to be here and represent the Salt Lake City Police Department as we recognize Child Abuse Awareness Month. The crime of child abuse inflicts profound and lasting harm, not only on the involved children and families, but on our community as a whole. Today, I want to emphasize 3 critical points: the urgent need to report suspected abuse, the collaborative approach we take to hold offenders accountable and protect victims, and the process of investigating child abuse cases. If you suspect a child is being abused, we urge you to report it immediately. Each day, children suffer in silence. Most children are unaware of how to report these crimes, or often reluctant to speak up due to the relationship they have with their offenders. Your voice can be the lifeline that they need. Here in Utah, DCFS and law enforcement have relied heavily on the vigilance of our community members. You do not need to have proof of abuse. Any suspicion is enough to warrant a report. By speaking up, you empower law enforcement to intervene and protect children before their suffering escalates. Child abuse is a complex issue and cannot be solved by law enforcement alone. That's why we collaborate with a network of professionals who play a critical role in safeguarding and healing victims. We work closely with DCFS, who will ensure the child's safety and well-being, medical professionals who provide essential medical exams and trauma-informed care, victim advocates and social workers who ensure that families receive counseling, legal support, and access to other resources they need, and the District Attorney's Office, who focuses on prosecution of the case and holding offenders accountable. This multidisciplinary team approach ensures that children are not only protected, but also given the resources they need to recover. Once a report is made, it's handled with extreme care and professionalism. First, a patrol officer will respond to take the initial report and provide access to medical care and other necessary services as needed. The case is then assigned to a Special Victims Unit detective who has specialized training in child abuse investigations. The cases are prioritized based on urgency, with immediate threats to a child's safety prompting an immediate response. All cases are referred to DCFS, who will conduct a parallel investigation. A child forensic interview is conducted in a safe, supportive environment where the child will only be required to tell their story once. These interviews are conducted by highly trained detectives and forensic interviewers who are skilled at minimizing trauma while gathering essential information. Detectives will then work with medical professionals to collect any physical evidence. Additionally, detectives will obtain witness statements, any digital or forensic evidence, or any other pertinent case information. After the investigation is complete, detectives compile all their findings into a case file, which is then submitted to the District Attorney's Office for prosecution. The Salt Lake City Police Department is committed to helping ensure that nobody feels dismissed, ignored, or re-traumatized when seeking help. Thank you for your trust in law enforcement and for standing united against child abuse. This is through our collective efforts that we can continue to make a difference in the lives of vulnerable children.
Thank you, Sergeant. As I mentioned to you earlier, not only about the worldwide numbers, I think it's also important to take note that in fiscal year 2024, just in Utah, the Utah Division of Child and Family Services confirmed 8,791 victims of child abuse or neglect. More than 70% of the perpetrators were the victims' family members or parents. But behind these statistics are children. And I want to share with you a couple of cases that our office had the honor of helping. In 2021, an 11-year-old boy visited his father's home. His parents were divorced. While he watched a movie with his dad and an adult friend of his dad's, his father fell asleep, and the adult friend sexually assaulted the child. After returning to his mom's house, the child acted bizarrely and ultimately disclosed that something terrible had happened. Law enforcement was contacted, and the 11-year-old survivor was interviewed at the Children's Justice Center. He provided a detailed disclosure of what happened to him. Charges were filed, and the case worked through the court process over the next 2 years until the case was finally set for trial. During those 2 years, the survivor and his family were provided counseling and support by our Survivor and Victim Support Services Division. The prosecutor and the social worker met with the child to help prepare him to face his abuser and to testify at trial, which he did. The defendant was ultimately found guilty of 2 counts of aggravated sexual abuse of a child, and due to a prior offense involving children, was actually sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In another case, there was a 17-year-old girl, young woman, who disclosed ongoing sexual abuse from her stepfather over multiple year period. She was interviewed by law enforcement and at the Children's Justice Center, where she disclosed multiple instances of grooming behavior and sexual abuse. The case was investigated, and the defendant was charged in 2018. And due to the court not keeping the defendant in custody because of COVID-19, the court backlog and the change in defense attorneys and other factors, it took until 2024 before this case could be brought to trial. Throughout those years, the assigned prosecutors, social workers provided support and met with the family many times to help support them through the lengthy and challenging process. The survivor was able to finally testify at trial, and the jury convicted her abuser of multiple counts of forcible sexual abuse, and the victim and the family finally came back to court for that sentencing, where their powerful words and her empowerment made the difference in the impact that she had that led to the defendant being sent to the Utah State Prison. But we cannot do this alone. We have multiple partners, and one of those critical partners you'll hear about from our friends of the Children's Justice Center. But we also have other community partners and county partners. We depend on the services provided throughout the rest of Salt Lake County, for example, like the Salt Lake County Youth Services. For over 40 years, the Salt Lake County Youth Services has offered temporary housing to those youth who have been impacted or removed from home due to abuse or neglect, and who are often under the custody of Utah Division of Child and Family Services. These services are provided at the Christmas Box House and shelter group homes located in South Salt Lake. Youth remain in care until they can return safely home or a suitable foster or kinship placement is secured. Emphasizing the importance of family connections, Youth Services prioritizes keeping siblings together whenever possible at the Christmas Box House. This program provides safe, trauma-informed environment for all children in its care. And in fact, in 2024, almost 400 youth were able to take advantage of that community service. The other thing that our office is committed towards is policy advocacy. Here at the Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office, we do more than just simply prosecute cases. We support the families and survivors throughout that process. Beyond prosecution, we also advocate on Capitol Hill for changes to our law as we need them. Many of you may have reported on, for example, Ashley's Law that was just recently passed in this last legislative session. Although Ashley was a 29-year-old adult, because of neurodegenerative disease that she had, that left her nonverbal and immobile. And as a result of that deficit, her stepfather sexually abused her, but she was unable to communicate what was happening to her. And as we became aware of that case, we also became aware of the deficit that although she was an adult, she was childlike in terms of being a person of maybe 4 or 5 years of age. And because of that, we changed the law which now, for the first time, you can hold those offenders accountable. Similarly, the other thing that I wanted, and some of you may know about this, and I want to again draw the attention to Norland. This is the young boy that you've heard about. And this year in the legislature, working with our office, we also created and helped pass a new law. And this is a case where we learned that Norland's mother, over a period of many years, methodically tortured and abused her son. And as we prosecuted that case, we learned that there wasn't a mechanism by which to actually identify this kind of behavior, especially when it comes to children. We know about physical abuse, we know about sexual abuse, but we had no room for torture and the emotional and psychological abuse and the harm that it does and is perpetrated. As a result of this passage of Senate Bill 24, for the first time now in the state of Utah, we will also be able to define an injury based on emotional and psychological abuse that the children undergo. And as a result of that passage of that bill, we'll be able to, for the first time, be able to hold offenders accountable. Another way that our office works on these issues is that, as I told you about the two stories of the cases that we prosecuted, the common thread through that is the Children's Justice Center. As most of you know, the Salt Lake County Children's Justice Center is part of the Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office. And when a crime has occurred, we provide a safe place where we can gather that information, but more importantly, help those families through this moment of trauma and grief that they go through, which is a critical means by which to assist and support those families and those impacted. Another way that our office involves in this area is some of the pictures that are highlighted here, is that we have Camp Hope. And this is where children of the cases that we prosecute, where there are either victims or of abuse, or where they're witnesses to abuse and violence and the trauma, that they can come and they testify, but we make a 3-year commitment to each child to take them to summer camp, where they can finally push out those terrible memories with good experiences, as we know from science, the neuroplasticity of their developing brain to be able to have those good experiences. And this is how we're interfering with intergenerational trauma being passed from one family down to the next family. And that is based on our work with the University of Oklahoma with Dr. Chan Hellman, who has created a Hope Index that talks about building that resiliency in these children so they're not defined by the trauma that they've experienced. We also not only take them to summer camp, but we also make it a 3-year commitment through our Pathways program to those children, and where they continue to work on pro-social activities and building a community so they can come out of their shell and actually thrive in the life that is before them. And finally, the most critical one of our partners is our friends from the Children's Justice Center. Remember that all of this starts with the Children's Justice Center when a child comes because they are a survivor or a witness to crime. And the Children's Justice Center is supported by many partners, including our great critical partnership with the Friends of the Children's Justice Center. And I'm going to now have Sierra Chow come up and talk about how, through them, everyone who watches or reads your stories today can help fight child abuse as well. Sierra?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sierra, and it's an honor to stand here on behalf of the Friends of the Salt Lake County Children's Justice Center. The Friends nonprofit exists to empower child survivors of severe crime and their families to transform trauma into resilience, and we do this through 2 critical means. We raise awareness and program support funds specifically for the Salt Lake County Children's Justice Center. Our partners at the CJC serve over 1,600 children and an additional 2,000 family members every year, which is more than any other CJC in the state of Utah. These children have experienced the most severe crimes, abuse, neglect, and trauma that no child should ever have to experience. The CJC provides a safe and welcoming environment where children can begin the healing process with the support of highly trained professionals who care deeply about their well-being. Supporting this program is at the core of what the Friends do, because we believe it takes the community at large, a group of friends, if you will, who are committed to making a difference in the lives of child survivors so that they have a place where they can tell their story, seek justice, and find hope after trauma. In April, for Child Abuse Prevention Month, we're calling on our community to step up and stand with us in supporting child survivors of crime. To mark this important month, we are launching a special fundraising campaign designed to both raise awareness and program support funds so that child survivors of crime can seek hope, healing, and justice. For every $1 that's donated in the month of April, we'll be hanging a paper butterfly on the wall of the new CJC, which is now co-located at the YWCA in downtown Salt Lake. Butterflies are a universal symbol of hope and transformation, representing the child's journey from trauma to healing. Salt Lake County is home to over 700,000 adults, many of whom may not know that child abuse is happening in their communities, in their schools, and maybe even in their own neighborhood next door. Now that you know, we ask our community to stand up and be a friend to these children. Imagine the good that we could do if just a portion of our community donated a single dollar. We would fill the wall with butterflies, each one representing hope and healing for a child survivor. This is a very tangible way for our community to show up and to remind these children that they're not alone, that they're seen, heard, and supported. We've brought an example of these butterflies with us today. As you can see, they're colorful, they're vibrant, and full of life, just like the hope that we want to instill in every child who walks through the doors of the CJC. The new CJC space is absolutely beautiful and inviting, and there's still some empty spaces where we can fill with these symbols of hope. By donating, you're not only helping us raise critical funds to support the CJC's life-changing work, you're contributing to a visible reminder for every child who enters the building that they're not alone. Our goal isn't just to raise money, it's to raise awareness. Child abuse can feel like a very distant problem until it happens close to home. The truth is it's happening right here in our community, and we all have a role to play in protecting our children. Together, we can make a safe community possible. We invite everyone to visit our website at friendsofcjc.org to learn more about our work and to please make a donation. We can't do this work alone. The CJC cannot do this work alone, but together we are stronger. Together we can create a safer, more vibrant future for our children and our community. Thank you so much for your time and for your support.
And I just want to take a second also just to, again, to emphasize what community means here. We could not do the work that we do, the commitment that we make to safeguarding our community, and certainly the most vulnerable, if we did not have great partnership with our law enforcement partners, if we did not have great partnership with our friends who are critical partners to help us to bring this all together. And I also want to just acknowledge some of the board members from the Friends who are here for your participation and your ongoing commitment that you bring and in your presence and in your voices. And this is really the purpose. The purpose is to draw attention. The purpose is to remember that this month, but beyond this month, each one of us has a critical role to play in the well-being of not only our community, but certainly the most vulnerable who are in our community, who need us to step up and advocate for them in their time of need. So with that, thank you for coming down here today, and we'd be more than happy to answer some of your questions if you have some, and certainly make ourselves available to you for one-on-ones. Okay. Any questions? All right. Thank you so much. Thank you again.